Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software Great Tech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. My guest today is Brad Buckles. He's the VP of Technology and Innovation at Charles Perry Partners. Brad, a technologist at heart with an expedition into the construction industry, has been blending these two worlds for nearly 12 years. His background in technology laid the foundation for a career that has since evolved to focus on how technological innovations can revolutionize the construction sector. With almost 3 decades of experience in technology and a significant chapter in construction, Brad brings a unique perspective to the table, emphasizing the importance of integrating cutting-edge tech solutions into construction processes. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Thank you so much, Todd. It is such an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the conversation. So I always like to start with kind of your origin story. What brought you into the construction industry?
Oh, gosh, I'll tell you, when I started 12 years ago, innovation, as you know, Todd, wasn't on the top of the priority list for construction firms. It was just kind of becoming that, and the need was there. And so when I started with CPPI almost 12 years ago, it was just an opportunity to be able to improve. I am blessed to work at Charles Perry Partners. We have a history of being an innovative company. So that innovative spirit allowed me to be able to just jump right in there and ride their coattails and, try to shape how we do things at CPPI and how we can improve our projects and improve our employees' experience on those projects.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the passion behind it as well too. That's always fun to see. Why do you think most people maybe tend to struggle some when it comes to technology implementation? What's maybe kind of the biggest misunderstanding?
Todd, I think one of the biggest misunderstandings is implementation is just installing software and then, you just implement it and you start using it, and we'll just learn as we go. Mm-hmm. And that was certainly the case back in the 90s and probably 2000s. It was a software-driven company or technology was a software-driven organization. But as we've moved over to software as a service and technology is becoming more paramount and complex, you can't just install it, do a little bit of minor configuration and kick it down the road. It requires dedication in order to be able to fine-tune that application to do what you want to do in your organization.
Mm-hmm. So how do you take the time on the front side then to really think through what should the implementation process look like, who needs to be involved, what is the kind of the realistic goal that everybody's aiming for? How does that process, how should that go about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll look at implementations. I've done this for so long, Todd, that I've seen this time and time again. I've been a part of successes and I've been a part of failures, and I've learned through lessons learned that there's 3 emotional states a company is going to go through. And those 3 emotional states starts with that vision stage, which that vision stage is started at pre-sales when the salespeople are talking to them about the software and promising them the world and telling them that it'll make their cup of coffee in the morning. They start making this picture of what this software is going to do for their organization. And that's exciting because they're excited at that point in time. Then as they start implementing, they hit what's called a freak out stage, or what I call a freak out stage, where reality, the rubber meets the road. And now we're starting to use this software. We need to start replacing our old processes that we were used to with this new software, this new solution that is now taking place of that. But guess what didn't change? My deadlines didn't change. I still have to get pay applications out. I still have to get my change orders processed, when you're looking at cost management, that is. And once a company struggles through that freak out stage, they move over into what I call the comfort zone. That's when they start getting acclimated with the software. They've started refining their processes, and they've started to continue that innovation journey as they move forward. But back to your point, Todd, where it all begins is that vision stage. And that's the most crucial portion of their implementation journey, because that's where they need to be structuring the design of their software. They need to start looking at what processes need to be improved, how they're going to leverage that software to improve those processes. And gosh, really, Todd, they need to be shooting for the stars there. They need to be leaning into that technology to find out where they can best solve the challenges that they face as an organization. So that's the first part of that implementation. And my gosh, Todd, we could talk for several hours on this topic. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have that time, but there's a lot there.
Yeah. I love those 3 phases. I haven't heard people break it down like that before, but I think that's spot on accurate, that, you know, you got that vision. That's awesome. Everything's going to work perfectly well.
Yeah.
And that then the reality kind of sets in. You're like, oh no, what did I just do?
Right.
It's the hard work of having to figure out where to click. And somebody recently talking about switching over CRMs said, you know, you're moving into a new house. It has all the same bedrooms, but they're in a different place now. So you got to take the time and be patient, figure out where your bedroom is. And that's okay to be a little lost.
Well, I just want to add on to that. I love that analogy. And an analogy I use is you're getting ready to renovate your entire organization. If you're doing something like a core software replacement, such as cost management, which we had just gotten through, or you're replacing your project management software, treat it like a project, manage it like a project. And that requires collaboration and so much more to make sure that it stays on track, on schedule, and on budget, just like these construction professionals are used to each and every day.
Yeah. Any tips on how to minimize the time spent in that freak out and try to get from vision to comfort as quick as possible?
Absolutely, Todd. And that's where you need to really do proper planning and proper strategizing. I talk about collaboration quite a bit. I say we don't need to communicate. We communicate enough. We send emails. We have meetings about the meetings. We have text messages flying through the air. We have emails flying through the air. I mean, so much goes on from a communications standpoint that organizations, when they're getting ready to implement, need to grasp collaboration, just like they do on a project. They're not just going to notify somebody that there's an issue out on the project. They're going to follow up. They're going to be communicating and collaborating, specifically with pre-construction. When you're in the design phase of a project, there's a lot of collaboration going on, and software implementation needs to be treated just like that. We need to collaborate. We need to get the stakeholders in the room, whether that's from accounting, from IT, certainly, from operations, from executive leadership, so everyone can have their input on what they want to achieve. And then document. Todd, if you want to know one of the areas where companies fail the most, it's documenting the processes. These new processes that they're getting ready to replace, they need to document those, and they need to put them in such a way that they can clearly communicate and bring forth that collaborative spirit within the organization to let people know where the pinch points are as the implementation unfolds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I hear with that on the collaboration angle side is it's not a lack of communication there, but it's a lack of communication in the way people are going to receive it and kind of learn from it as well too. So, just writing it down and sending it out in as a memo is not going to bring people together. You got to bring it in and say, all right, Brad, what are you trying to get out of this? And what are you looking to accomplish? And walk it through on how you're going to understand it and see it and make sure that you feel comfortable with it, and not just throw it up in a doc and say, all right, I communicate it. Now
Todd, you're absolutely right. Our president, Brian Leslie, he says all the time, he says, you got to communicate 7 times. Meaning if you say it 1 time, get ready to say it 6 more times. And it's that repetitive messaging that you're getting out there, and making sure that you've got your ear close to the ground at a grassroots level. Don't stay up in the executive suite and expect that you're going to understand what goes on as the implementation unfolds. You need to be in the weeds, working hand in hand with the people, making sure that you're supporting them and giving them the resources that they need to be successful, so that as that implementation continues on, you'll minimize that freak out stage.
Yeah. Fully agree. Now, let's dive into cost management a bit some. So
Sure.
Cost overruns, as you know, can be very problematic for projects and a company's financial health. How should companies look at technology, maybe with Autodesk Build's cost management? How does that kind of help organizations maintain better control over project cost? And maybe what are some kind of common challenges that people should look at addressing?
Yeah, Todd, when we circle back to the vision stage, one of our visions was that we wanted to be able to do two things. We wanted to touch data one time. Our poor project managers, I'm surprised they don't have PTSD over the amount of pencil whipping that goes on with having to do duplicated amounts of work. So we wanted to reduce that, but we also wanted visibility. Todd, we wanted to be proactive and not reactive. And from a financial standpoint, that means we need to have real-time data flowing from our accounting system to our project management software, in this case, Autodesk Build Cost Management. And we needed to have the real-time analytics to be able to go on top of that, which we leverage Power BI to drive those analytics so that we can see down the road and make those pivot decisions as we need to. If we start seeing that there's an increased amount of change orders on a project, we want to get in front of that. We want to ask the questions as to why are we X% over where we should be on change management? Or if we have our costs starting to exceed our projected budget, or revised budget, then what's happening there? So we want to have some key performance indicators, some KPIs that we can monitor, and we can be proactive on making sure we don't have cost overruns. And cost overruns also bleed into the project management, linking data, linking things such as schedules and RFIs to our cost activities becomes extremely important, because you start laying out that cookie trail on where that cost event originated and all the way through to a change order to a subcontractor. You have that entire paper trail all in one screen, all right there at the touch of your fingers. And that's what needs to happen in order to be ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm. What kind of shift needs to happen within the company in order to be able to really be able to leverage that data that, there's such an influx of data coming in? How do you really be able to leverage it to harness to make real data-driven decisions?
Well, in that vision stage, you're bringing the stakeholders in, you're bringing the CFO in, you're bringing the controller in, you're bringing people in operations into the conversations, and you're finding out from them what their needs are. And, what we did is I took those meetings and I took detailed notes and went back and determine what is it they need to be able to visually see in a Power BI environment where they could go to and see what they're looking for at a drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. Not having to dig through a file folder structure and pull up this spreadsheet and compare with this spreadsheet. And then, oh my goodness, we got to find the backup to that. Where is that in a folder? We wanted it all in one place, visually appealing so that they could understand it and digest it in a quick way. Now, Autodesk has some templates that are built. So if you don't have a Power BI person that on your staff, they've built some templates that I suggest people start with. And then if they can learn, if they have an IT department or if they have a consultant, which is a good idea to have, bring those people on board, tell them what you need, and then develop that proactive stance. But it all starts, to answer your question, Todd, listening to the stakeholders and where are the pinch points, and then solving the problems at a root cause level. If I may add one more thing, Todd, one of the stories that I tell about root cause is if we all walked into a room, Todd, if you and I walked into a room and there was a puddle of water on the floor, we would both agree that that's a problem, right? We would say, oh my goodness, we need to fix this problem. And we could mop the water up and we've solved that problem. But if we came in the next day and saw the same puddle of water laying on the floor, we still agree that that's a problem. We could mop it up and move on. But until we look up and see, oh my goodness, the tile up, over our head is also wet. Now we've got two problems. We can mop the floor up and replace the tile. But until we go to the root cause of that problem, we've got a penetration in the roof that needs to be repaired. Mm-hmm. Until we can address that root cause problem, it's not going to solve all the underlying problems. And so I mentioned to our folks that we need to look at root cause. What is the real problem here? And then take that real problem and use innovation to try to solve it or get us closer to solving that problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that illustration, because going back to where we started, I think that's where a lot of implementations go wrong, is they're just looking at that water on the floor and they're solving that problem thinking that this technology is going to fix everything, and then they're wondering why it's not. And it's not necessarily the technology's fault. It's that you didn't go up high enough in the root cause chain to really address what the problem actually was. And you're just putting Band-Aid on Band-Aids, and that in the long run creates a bigger problem.
And no offense to our operations folks, I think this is in the industry is they don't want to all necessarily get into the weeds. They want to be able to address the problem and move on, right? No, we need to stop, and we need to be more analytical, think through these things and determine what that root cause is. And let's solve that. And then that way we don't have to come into the office every day and mop the floor.
Yeah, I like it. So going a little bit more into the weeds then, let's bring in ERP into the conversation. Oh, yeah. So integrating ERP system, it's a massive project and consideration for cost management implementation as well too there. Well, what are the benefits of integrating cost management tools with an ERP system?
Well, first of all, let me address, it is a massive undertaking in the sense that there's a lot of moving parts for it. But Todd, there are companies out there that provide those integration services that can help even the smaller general contractors out there make it a reality for them. So I would suggest to everyone, if you can, and it works for your business case, integrate with your ERP system, because the value is going back to that proactive approach, touching data one time. You know, we didn't want to create, let's say, a change order, save that into a folder somewhere for accounting to be able to pick up, key it into their system. We wanted this to touch the data one time in Build and then move on. That's it. And we've automated it in such a way using ACC Connect that we even download all of the attachments out of cost management and store it into our cloud folder system that allows our accounting department to have access to that data. So we're not even saving files. We're not saving contracts, change orders, pay applications. It's generated, and then the project manager moves on. They don't have to do anything else. So the value is touching data one time and also getting that actual cost as it's been spent out, whether that's payment application, payments to pay apps, invoices, payroll, credit card transactions. Project managers need that information in real time, and they need it to be accurate. And prior to an integration with an ERP system, Todd, we were waiting for a JCR report. So we had job cost reports that our accounting department was creating, and they would have to do that for every single project. And then they were sending them out to the project managers sometimes a week or two later after it's been generated. So we needed that more accurate ability to get that data in front of them so they could forecast their projects more accurately.
Yeah. Interesting. So understanding the resource requirements is really critically an important factor for success. What steps should organizations, do you think, should they take to ensure they have the necessary resources in place for this successful implementation? Touching all these
Todd,
different areas?
if we just had a bullseye, you took the dart and threw it and hit right into the bullseye. It really is about making sure you're leveraging your resources for an implementation. It's not a one guy in IT that installs this software, configures it, works with a couple of people for a couple of weeks and starts running projects on it. You know, you have to have training resources in place. People have to know how to use this software. And you talk about lessons learned. My goodness, we had to pivot so many times to make sure that we were providing our people with the information that they needed to be able to learn this new system. You can't just expect people to, even a seasoned project manager, to expect them to just right out of the gate start using the software. If you really want to frustrate people, then take that approach. But have those resources dedicated, making sure that all the stakeholders continue to be involved in the conversation and that it's a group collaborative effort, not a single person somewhere sitting there making all the decisions and driving an implementation, because you're setting yourselves up to fail if you don't. Mm-hmm. So good point, Todd. Good point.
Yeah. What do you say to the companies that are like, yeah, this all sounds great, we should do this, but we just don't have the time, or they're so busy right now.
It's a reality. Seems like
it would take forever.
It's so true, Todd. It's a reality. That's where you need to have partner involvement, whether you're working directly with Autodesk or if you have a reseller that you're working with. they have the resources that you don't have. They have the expertise, they have the knowledge, and they have the people power to be able to bring to it. If you understaff a project, or heavens forbid your subcontractors understaff your project, then you can expect delays, you can expect cost overruns, you can expect quality problems. That's why I continue to say, treat it like it's a construction project. Make sure that your people are in place, make sure your schedule activities are in place, and you know when to insert the people at the right time, and don't hesitate on raising your hand and asking for help. Making sure you line those up at the vision stage is paramount.
Mm-hmm. So kind of pulling that training thread a bit more, what kind of timeline should people be expecting when you're going through this process? How long does it take to get really up and running with cost management?
Oh, Todd, I get asked that so many times. It varies. It varies on the size of company. It varies on where your current company is at from an innovative, meaning if you already have an ERP system and you're already integrating with another product. It matters on what you're trying to accomplish in that vision stage. And I always say, shoot for the stars, accomplish as much, throw it out. If you want it, if you think it can be done, be told it can. If you want it to make your coffee in the morning, say you want it to make your coffee in the morning, let the guys figure it out whether or not they can do it or not.
Yeah.
Which I think Autodesk has an API for that. But, shoot for the stars. But yeah, it all depends, Todd. If I was to throw a number out there, averages from what I've seen over the last couple of years, working with general contractors and speaking with general contractors, throughout the U.S. and abroad, I would plan on probably about three to 4 months. Mm-hmm. And I would say, you're going to start piloting the project. So, that pilot I consider as part of implementation, and that pilot could go on. I would choose a churn and burn project, something that has a short duration project schedule, that you can run a full life cycle of the project through your new software, and making sure that you refine your processes as you go through that pilot process. Refine your SOPs, refine your documentation as you go through it. So it's tough, man. I mean, probably 3 months to get to a pilot stage if you're doing everything the right way. Could be more, could be less, depending on the size of the organization and the complexity of the organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. So you just brought up SOPs. Are there any kind of best practices that you recommend companies should adopt to streamline their cost management procedures?
Oh my gosh. Standard operating procedures has become such an important resource for our people. And I use the term resource because it's not a document that we're just going to put out there and nobody ever sees. This needs to be something that as they're learning the software, they have this as a resource they can go to and see, these are the standard operating procedures for building a budget. These are the standard operating procedures for buyout and writing contracts. These are the, so on and so forth for every single thing that you would do in cost management or whatever implementation you're doing. Writing those SOPs aren't just something that you're putting down on pencil. It's something that you're making sure that becomes a resource that's communicated. And also, Todd, I also say to our folks that we write our SOPs in pencil. They're designed to be challenged. If you can think of a better, more streamlined process, we want to hear about it. And if you're right and there is a better streamlined process, then we want to adjust our standard operating procedures so that everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and one of my questions was going to be, how do you make it not feel like the bureaucracy coming in? But I think you addressed that with writing it in pencil. I love that concept of it, that an SOP is designed to be challenged. It's not written in stone or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where that fosters that collaboration, because if everyone knows, and I'll tell you another thing, we even make our SOPs for accounting visible to our operations folks, because if they say, well, if they don't understand the pay application process on the other side, right? If they have a question, they have a resource to go to. And if they think that there can be a better way to do it, then let's be transparent. and let's listen for potential opportunities for improvement. So it fosters that collaboration that I keep drilling in to people. Just don't let this be some guy in the sky broadcasting out what the implementation is going to look like. Make it a part of everyone contributing to the vision stage of your integration and certainly your pilot program.
Yeah, agreed. Love that. So I can't let a technology and innovation guy go without bringing up AI at least once in the course of a conversation. Where do you see the direction of AI moving? Even let's just go 1 year because it's moving so fast. 1 year out, this time next year, what are we going to be talking about with AI?
Oh, Todd, it is growing so fast. You're going to have to get Elon Musk on your podcast to be able to predict this accurately.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah. It's already starting to make a dive, especially at Autodesk. Autodesk has been utilizing AI. A lot of people don't know this, for about 10 years, looking at high-risk RFIs, looking at high-risk safety and issues that are on a project. But as AI continues to unfold, we're going to start seeing the important information that we have on the project continue to rise to the top for our visibility. So I think it's going to improve visibility on a project. I think we're also going to start seeing it more and more developed in the design phase. So hopefully we start to see better models, better coordination, and better overall drawings from our architectural team as it starts moving in construction. So when you do that, we're going to start to see a reduction in RFIs. We're going to start seeing potentially a reduction in some of the schedule risk that you have, because we're starting to get more accurate and up to date drawings. And hopefully it's not going to be as much of a heavy lift with generative AI. Hopefully we're going to be able to start to see this AI do things for us, not just provide information for us, but put that into the form of robotic process automation, or RPA, so that we can start leveraging automation on top of AI to bring things forward and do things for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So overall threat or opportunity for construction?
Threat, opportunity, and just to tag on to opportunity, we're seeing more and more in construction as the weeks and months and years go by. This, Todd, a labor crisis.
Yeah.
And it is up to us innovators to look at ways we can mitigate that growing risk out there. So we have to start looking at things like AI and looking at things like robots in construction to see what will 5 years from now look like, what will 10 years from now look like, because I don't see, and I'm not trying to be a pessimistic person, but I don't see that labor, market improving in the next year or two. I think we're going to kind of continue to see it flatline at best. And hopefully I'm wrong. And hopefully we're going to start going into the high schools and the colleges and trying to get people to be more excited about construction, because my goodness, construction is such an exciting field, and it has got a lot of potential there. So that needs to be advertised to the young folks too, in the next generation of construction builders.
I more than agree with you. I won't get on my soapbox too much with that, but I think there's a huge marketing problem in construction that we don't do a good job telling our story to those outside the industry and making it, telling the story that this is a really cool industry. There's a lot of tech, there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of really neat things happening, especially over the last couple of years. That it's not the construction industry of the stereotype that's out there. We need to do a better job of kind of breaking down those.
Oh man, you're so right. And I'm blessed to be at CPPI because we're in the colleges, we're in the high schools, we're talking to these students about the opportunities that are out there, because we want to be a part of solving the problem of the labor crisis. And Todd, you're absolutely right. That starts with an understanding of what construction is in 2023 and beyond, not what construction was, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Absolutely. There's way more opportunities in construction, a very diverse array of opportunities than what the average person thinks when they think of construction. So as we start to kind of land the plane here, got a couple kind of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
First, what does the phrase modeling the future, what does that mean and look like to you?
Modeling the future, I think, to talk about what we had just said, where we're building up that next generation is certainly a part of modeling the future, but also continuing to look for ways to be more innovative and, to bring our project managers and superintendents and our construction teams home earlier to their families so they can spend more time with their families than they are on the job site. And less time on a job site, should I say. So, I think we have to continue to innovate. We have to continue to look forward at ways of improving things, whether that's from, pre-construction and design all the way to the owner handoff. We've got to look for ways to continuously grow and get better. And it's up to us to do it. It's up to the innovators out there, but it's also up to the adopters out there, the project managers, then superintendents saying, I don't want to be a construction company that we were 20 years ago or 10 years ago. I want to, embrace this technology and have that innovative spirit that, enables our company to continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. So what does innovation mean to you?
Innovation means, well, it's not just technology, Todd. The first thing I was going to say, it just means technology, but it's not. It's innovation is more than that. It's processes, it's people, it's an emotion, it's a tool, it's a way of doing things. We can find an innovative way to, carry a wheelbarrow. It really, you can see some people that are good at it and some people that'll just dump their wheelbarrow all over the ground, So innovation isn't always technology, but certainly methods of procedure, standard operating procedures, looking at ways to produce a lean practice and leveraging technology as much as we can to get us to where we want to be.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
It's a mindset
more than anything.
I love how you said that. It is absolutely a mindset.
Yeah. How do people find out more information and connect with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. Todd, I don't know if you can post a link to my LinkedIn, but feel free to connect with me there. And, I always love talking with construction firms and, it's always, I want to be able to push the innovation forward, not just for CPPI, but for the industry as a whole, because we need to make the lives of people better. And I think that if in some small way, if I can do that and I can help out in any way, I'm more than happy to do that. But LinkedIn's the best way to get hold of me.
Awesome. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the industry, what would you pick to innovate?
Oh, wow. Todd, that's a curveball. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say the accuracy, and I don't want to pick on our architect friends out there, but the accuracy of our drawings and the accuracy of our models. I think if we could improve that, I believe generative AI and will help us along that way. Mm-hmm. But I would say improve construction documents and improvement in construction documents. I think would be the thing that would help us. But I think that's every general contractor ever saying that. So I think I'm repeating what everybody would say. Maybe that's kind of a cheap shot.
It's all right. It's all right. We love our architecture friends.
We do.
We absolutely
couldn't do it without them.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, Brad, thanks so much for taking the time. I really enjoyed. There's so many other rabbit trails that I fought the urge not to go down, but thanks so much for taking the time. This was great.
Todd, it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to all the next podcasts you got. I'll tell you, man, I'm interested. You got me hooked.
Awesome. We have fun. It's a great guest coming on and sharing their story. So I appreciate it
so much. Thank you.